Are you looking for a raised bed planter and everything you find is not up to snuff? Today we're going to build one that'll last you for years. Hi, this is Ross with DIY on the House. Today we're going to build a raised bed garden planter. It's more of a modular one that I think you'll like the design. It's built out of, it's going to be 11 2x4x8s, and you'll just need some basic woodworking skills to build it. Nice thing about this planter is it's modular, meaning that this piece is separated from this piece, and then you have the base. So if you want to, you can rearrange it, or you can arrange it the way you need to in the beginning. If you're up against the wall, this can all be pulled up to one side, like that, and then this can go like this. It can be more of a stair-step type of planter, or what we're going to be, the way I'm building it, it's all going to be centered, and this will be centered. So, and that's close enough. That's close enough to what we're looking for. But this can be small rooted or roots of plants that have a shallow root system. Root systems with a little bit more, and then in here you can put tomatoes with a deeper root system. It's all going to be what you want for your raised bed garden or flower garden. On our front panel, this is 4 foot, and I doubled it up so it's deeper. So it's going to be 4 foot, 4 foot, and then this side one is 4 foot, and this one is 4 foot. The front on the second section I made 26 inches, and the front on the smaller section I made 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and we'll separate it out, and then we'll give you a diagram of what you're going to need. To give you the dimensions, this is 48 inches long this way, and I doubled it, so this is 1 2x4. Same here, and same here. So this is 1 2x4, 2 2x4s, 3, and then 4. On this next section here, this is 48 inches long. So you have 1 2x4, 2 2x4s, and these fronts are 26 inches on both sides. So you have 52 inches here, 52 inches here. It'll take roughly a 2x4 and then partial of another one. I was going to do 24 inches on these front panels to make sure I had an even number of 2x4s. But when I measured it out, by the time I put this top layer on, it was actually going to be pretty small in between where I could actually plant something. So I went to 26 inches. And on the top section, you've got 1 2x4x8 here, and 1 2x4x8 here. And this is just scrap lumber, or if you need, part of that 2x4 that you have extra from the front of this. These are only 9 inches each. And then of course I've got these braces that are 7 inches each. And that's the ones to hold the 2x4s together solidly. The plan is, once this is done, I'm going to run a 2x4 down through here, connecting all of these sections together once I figure out where they're going to go. Because if it's going to go up against the wall and this whole thing needs shoved over, we need to be able to connect all of these pieces together. It makes it modular. And then once we do that, it's all secured the way you want it. That is it. So I'm going to go ahead and get cutting, and we'll show you just how to go ahead and build it. It's very simple, and yep, I'm going to get cracking. The only thing you will need 1 pound of 2.5 inch screws. I used the number 8s drywall screws, and then you'll need 1 pound of, and I'll be using number 8 3-inch drywall screws. And that's because I need to have a longer screw for this part here to secure that, and I want a shorter screw to secure this right here. Okay, that's it. Let's get going. Okay, so we got our first victim up here, our first 2x4. I'm going to go ahead and just measure this out. I'm going to measure halfway, and then we're going to mark that. And then I'm also going to go ahead and mark, double check from the other direction. And a lot of times this is just going to be roughly about a 1/16 inch off. I'm not sure what that is in millimeters, but it's always going to be a little bit different. And that's going to be common. So we'll go ahead and get this up. Make sure you wear safety glasses. And if you have some with leather gloves or some protection. So we'll go ahead and get that. Push it to get your gate. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut 8 of my 2x4s in half for the sidewalls. So I'll get that done. You don't need to watch that, and we'll get these and then we'll start laying them out. Now on my bottom section, I have everything cut, the ends and the sides. On my second section, I need to cut my 4 26-inch ends. And then on my top section, I need to cut 4 9-inch ends. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and I'll lay them out so you can see it. One thing I wanted to add is if you're cutting your ends and you are cutting and your measurement comes directly on a knot, switch things around, flip the 2x4 measure from the other side, or choose another board. Try not to be on a cut that has a knot. And that also goes for the ends. If you're cutting and you notice your 2x4 on one end has a knot on it, just choose another board, and hopefully on the cuts on some of the oddball stuff, you'll be able to delete that knot. Okay, I've got all my sections cut. The only thing I need to cut last is the supports on the ends. The 2x4s are actually 3.5 inches, so you're going to have a 7-inch piece that's going to support or brace up the ends so that you don't have any separations. It makes it nice solid. So I'll go ahead and get these cut. So I'll need 4 7-inch 2x4s per section. So I'll cut 12 of these. On this top one, I'm going to actually rearrange it so these 2x4s actually sit going with the length one. I need a 2x4 to actually go from this point all the way down to the bottom, and that's to secure these sections together. I didn't even think about that when I built this. So these will, the rest of them will be the same. These will actually just turn. So the ends are all cut, and we're basically now, we've got all of our lumber cut. I'm going to go ahead and get the saw put away and use my table for construction of the parts. All right, I got my base laid up here. So at this point, you need to be a little bit choosy on what you want exposed on the outside of the unit, because a lot of these will have the stamping of the manufacturer and other information that you don't really need. So I want the outside to be plain, so when I stain it, I won't have any words transposing through. So. So if you have a clamp or any type of something to hold them together, this would be a great place to put it. If you don't have one of these, don't worry about it. You can still do this without. I have it. It's handy. I don't have to worry about the wood squirreling around on me. So I'm using it. So, all right. So now I've got a countersink bit. If you don't have one of these, you can use a standard drill bit, the same size as, or just a hair larger than the head on your screw. On another project I just got done, I couldn't find the bit, so I just used a standard drill bit just to do that. So on this, we're going to want to go about halfway on the 2x4, and we're just going to drill. Okay, so that's about halfway on the 2x4 that's sitting down. So I'm going to take my 2.5-inch screws, and the reason I'm using these is when I drill in, I'm actually not going to, the screw won't penetrate into that, past that bottom one. And that's the reason I don't want that is because if you put your hands in there, you don't want to get poked with a screw. So I'm using 2.5 inchers. All right, so now that I've got my ends are completed, I've got those on the floor over there. I want to go ahead and get these ends prepped up. I'm going to go ahead and get these countersucked for the screws. So when I do that on these, I want to actually drive the screw into the end of the other 2x4. I'm not going to drive it into the brace, just the end. So I want to be careful on where I'm going here. So I'm just going to take a piece of 2x4. I'm just going to go down there, draw a line, and then I'm going to go ahead and just countersink into that area. And don't put it too close to the end like I just did, or to the edge. Kind of bring it in a ways so that when you put in the screw, it doesn't expand that. That may end up cracking, I'm not sure. So get those. And then I'll do the same thing on the other 3 corners, and then we'll go ahead and get things attached together. Okay, so I'm ready to go ahead and attach the ends. What I want to do is I want to go through these ones I've just drilled and choose the better piece of wood. This top one, this one is a lot nicer, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on the top. So I'm going to install the bottom one first. Okay, now that I've got this in, I'm going to stand this up and I'm going to put in the other 4 screws. Okay, so now the base is complete. Now the other 2 tiers are exactly the same construction, doing it just with the shorter pieces. Nice thing about those, they're a little more easy to handle. I can do these on my table. So I'll go ahead and get these constructed, and then because it's exactly the same process. Okay, things you usually don't hear on videos is that I screwed this up. What I did is I took this 2x4 and I attached it like that on the inside of these 4-footers. The 2x4 needs to mount to the end caps. It needs to go on these insides because you need to have 48 inches all the way down here to match up to the bottom base. So that's just an FYI thing. I did end up having to tear things back apart because I actually built one side and I go, dang it, I screwed up. Because if you don't, this is going to be 52 inch, 48. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with 51 inches. That will fit on the one side, but I want to keep this all straight and forward to where the 48 inches stacks right on top of the other 48. And I'll just show you an example. I just want to keep things uniform. It would have fit the 51, but I don't want to do that because you'll end up losing your, you'll end up mixing things up. And so just make sure that this N48 is on the end, covering the end on the other board. That way it's good. See, this way, it doesn't work. So you have to keep it at 48. Okay, so on the top tier, instead of these 2x4s being flat like I did on the other ones with the end caps, I need to have these this way. I need to have them going away from it. So, and the reason being, like I said before, I'm going to take one long 2x4, once I get everything stacked, that I can just screw down and connect all the pieces together. I'll show you that at the end of the, I'll show you that once I get these built, what that's going to end up looking like. It's just going to be a nice little insert. So just remember that you need to have this 48 inches on the outside, and then, but on the top one, we're going to turn these 2x4s sideways. The top piece is done, so I'm going to go ahead and measure down from the top here down to the bottom. So that is 21 inches. I'll probably go ahead and cut it at 20 3/4. That way, and I'll level it up with the top. But if it's a little bit off the bottom, that's okay. I just don't want it, I don't want the board to protrude past the bottom. So I'll cut it at 20 3/4. I'll do a 2x4 on that, and then I'll tap that in here, and I'll show you how that's going to insert. Okay, so I've got my top piece here, the top tier, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this upside down. So this is the bottom, and then I'm going to take my 2x4s that are 20 3/4, and I'm just going to attach them 6 inches on center, and then I'm going to just bring him up, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my holes countersunk. I'm just going to do 2 on this. Once the dirt's in here, it's not going to move anywhere, so gotta go ahead and center that out. Okay, that's it. So now I'll show you how that fits. And I'll just insert that down, just like that. Okay, so now I can go ahead and attach the 2x4 I just put on the top section. I just drive one screw into the second and bottom tier. Okay, the only thing I have to do left is just go ahead and sand Bob the dog, and it's Bob spelled backwards. Capital B at the back, little B at the front. Bob. Anyway, the only thing I need to do left is to sand it, get all the splinters sanded down, get all the anything that has any markings on it. Go ahead and get that taken care of as well, and then I can stain it. Yeah, so here's the finished product after it's been sanded and stained. I will be putting Thompson's water seal on it just to help that migrate on into the wood. So that, because, you know, being in a raised bed, it's going to have water on it a lot, or moisture. So we want to make sure that this wood is treated enough that it's not going to just start rotting it right away. This bed, I have no doubts, should last years and years and years to come. It could last 5 to 10 years, easy. So that's what you want to do, is build things to last. So that's going to be it. So once you get it done, like I said, it's modular. You can move, you can have things, you know, do whatever you want to. You can have a small bed, big bed, small bed, big small bed up here, and you can just move things around the way you want them to be, instead of having something that's you buy it online and that's what you get. So, all right, if you would, give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe as always. And thanks for watching DIY on the House.